Kevin, welcome to Free Your Voice.
Awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
Kevin, does it ever just amaze you at the level of success that you've reached? Like, and now talking about like in business and transactions, I mean, you're at a whole different ballgame than your earliest days.
When I was a kid, I was born in the 50s and it was needed to earn an income in the 60s. And so there was no internet, there was no any technology. I was sealing driveways and filling cracks with uh, driveway sealer, and then I was installing furnaces and air conditioning systems. Not me personally installing. I had a company that was installing 10 a week, and I was getting leads and running the leads, and but that was I was a basically a good salesman that was able to build a business around it until I said, "Hey, I'm an entrepreneur," right? And as I tuned in to being an entrepreneur, because a lot of people, they don't realize the opportunity that lies ahead. I take a lot of blame for that myself. I used to have products that we would launch. We would do tremendous sales for 18 months, and then we would just let it die and go on to the next. Well, why didn't we sell that brand and that opportunity that we lost by letting that go there? But now we focus more. That's before I was a true skilled entrepreneur, right? I mean, in the old days, I was able to run one business and be successful, and I did the selling, and it was kind of a do-it-yourself kind of thing. But once you learn how to get other people to help you execute, to help you put sales organizations together, or in the case of what we do, we sell on. In the old days, it was TV. Now we sell on the internet.
And I got to go back a little bit because
System.
I love where you're going. Take me back early days, your household. What kind of son were you? Were you like the one that was just yes, ma'am, yes, sir? What were you
I
like?
was I was the sixth of four of the fourth rather of six kids. Catholic family, Cincinnati, Ohio. Went to an all boys Catholic high school, and I was raised pretty religiously. Actually, my mother went to mass 6 days a week, and so we had the nuns and the priests and that stayed on top of us. But I mean, I was a pretty good kid. I didn't get in trouble. I played a lot of sports.
What
Like
sport
to
did you
have a
play?
little bit of fun, and we did some mischievous things as kids. But I played baseball and basketball and football, and I had a lot of respect for my family and my mother and my father. I was taught that way, and very, very close. That both of them have passed, but very, very close with the rest of my family still. We all have kids now, and so between the nieces and the nephews and the brothers and the sisters, it's a really powerful group that is kind of based close by. We all grew up in Cincinnati, but most of us are now in Florida and in the vicinity, Tampa area up to Amelia Island. It's a little bit different, but yeah, we were a very close knit family, and that was pretty cool to experience that, because I've seen lots of friends that didn't come from the same. My parents were married. They had a 50th anniversary and went on to go past 60 years married. I believe it was, right just close to that. It's great to come from when you come home from school and there's love in the home and love in the household, and you can feel it. It's good, and it helped me have a good mindset myself to be successful.
So have you always then had a high performance mind? I mean, I have to imagine you at least at some point realized my brain is different. The way I process information is different. There's a Ferrari in your head.
you know, I do think, when I was young, it's interesting. My mother wanted to live in a great neighborhood, but they couldn't afford it. So we kind of got the cheapest house in a nice neighborhood. And one of my friends, when he turned 16, he got a beautiful sports car for his birthday. And, there was some wealth up the street. And so another one of my friends, his family owns the Cincinnati Reds, and so you can imagine the lifestyle that he's living. And so, now me, my dad was owned a bar, Harrington's Irish Pub. So it was a little bit different, the income levels. And my dad, he came to me. I'm number 4 or 6. He said, you're going to have to pay for your high school and your college because that's just you're a boy, and I paid for the girls, but not for you. Okay. And so bottom line is, we had that conversation, and I started driveway sealing business right away. And I was generating over $1,000 a week in income at the age of 15. And that's 50 some years ago.
Did you get to keep the money or did you have to tithe some of it?
I was grossing about 1,500 a week in driveway sealing sales, and probably netting about $800 net because I had to pay a guy that did the labor. And I was 15 years old, and you can own a truck when you're 15, but you can't drive that truck. So I bought a truck and had a guy drive me around. So but the breakthrough for me was, here I am, an entrepreneur, and I was selling businesses. I morphed into becoming a business broker, and I was selling pizza parlors, delicatessens, flower shops, laundromats, home and garden stores. And I was at the home and garden trade show in Philadelphia, and there's a guy cutting through a Coca-Cola can and a hammer, and then a pair of sneakers with the Ginsu knife. And I told him, I said, hey, you won't believe this, but first of all, the guy had the best pitch. He was selling thousands of dollars of Ginsu knives right in front of me. And I was watching him. And when he got on break, I said, I had just ordered cable television at home. And when I went through the channels, I got to the last channel, channel 30, and there was just these colored bars on the screen. And I found out that was Discovery Channel, and it was a new channel at the time, because this is now way many years ago. They only were an 18-hour-a-day channel. So I said to this guy, Arnold, who was demonstrating the Ginsu, I said, Arnold, I'm going to film you and put you on the downtime of Discovery Channel. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? Okay. And I'm like, listen, don't worry. Let's cut a deal. I'm going to buy the knives from you, pay your royalty, whatever the structure is. We ended up cutting a deal. He put me in touch with the manufacturer. Believe it or not, the Ginsu factory was owned by none other than Warren Buffett. Okay. So Warren Buffett makes money every Ginsu knife that gets sold. There's a financier to the finest, okay? But the rest is history, because we created some massive successes by using pitch guys like Arnold Morris. And Arnold said, Kevin, when you were at that Philadelphia home show, did you meet any other pitchmen? Because there was about a dozen of us at the show. And I said, Arnold, after we met, I went straight home. No, I didn't. He said, well, there's Billy Mays.
Billy Mays was one of these individuals. I'll never forget watching TV. Billy Mays here.
Yes.
What happened?
I met Billy Mays through Arnold, 1986, and we did Billy's first infomercial. So, Billy was an awesome. I say to this day, and he passed away a few years ago now, that he was the greatest pitchman in the infomercial and as seen on TV industry, because he had authority and just that on-camera
He was
presence.
so likable. I mean, the moment he came on, you're like, he's just warm. You're like, I just want to come give the guy a hug. Like, he was like, come on, we're family. Come hang out with me.
Billy's been to my house. He was at my wedding. I mean, he's a lot of fun. Okay. Billy was a lot of fun. God bless him.
He was a part of your life. So talk about that. I mean, because you've had all this success does have a cost. What does it cost you?
I mean, I was traveling the world. I got married 40 years ago. I had a boy, Brian. He's in his upper 30s now, 30 some years old. I was traveling, and so I took infomercials. I was sitting with a library of 150 shows, but all in English. And I said, wait a minute, what does the movie industry do? They go international. So I went to the Cannes Film Festival in 1990, took out a little booth and started peddling my shows, but I wasn't selling anything. I was paying for airtime. So we had a different model. We said, we'll pay you to run our shows. Everybody lined up 1990 and said, wait a minute, we're here at the festival. We're buying programs for our TV station and for our movie theaters, et cetera, but we pay to run shows. How can you pay us to run the show? I said, think of it as a cooking show. And at the end of the show, we're going to sell you the products that we were cooking with. It might be a Chinese wok, it might be a knife set. That's it. We're going to give you a percentage of those sales. And boom, all of a sudden, I did a deal with Rupert Murdoch, Sky Channel, Sheikh Salah Camel, ART, Arab Radio Television, 24 hours a day in the Middle East, 20 Arabic countries on satellite. We just dubbed 150 shows into Arabic, and we were instantly seen in 20 countries across Saudi Arabia and Dubai, etc. Then Europe, we were up on Astra Satellite, 16 countries. We leased audio tracks so that in Germany, you watched the same show that they watched in Holland, but in Holland, they were listening to it in Dutch, and in Germany, they were listening to it in German on a simultaneous voice track situation that I created the technology for. We launched in Europe, we launched in Arabic countries, we launched in Latin America and Asia. We went from 100 million a year to 500 million a year, and we were on the New York Stock Exchange, and our stock went from $1 to $20 a share. So we had a fantastic run in the early to mid 90s, late 90s.
So that makes it very hard then to find this work-life balance because personal relationships in that time must suffer because you can't be all
Yeah.
in focus being obsessed because that's what success requires. Or I guess defining success is one thing, but
You know,
it
the, the,
requires
the
obsession.
challenge, the challenge that I had, like, so when we were up, when we did the deal with Rupert Murdoch's channel, we thought we were just going to be running in England. We found out it was on satellite. I mean, they were only programming for the English market, Sky Channel, but we were getting orders from 16 countries, from Austria, from Switzerland, from Germany, from Holland, France, Italy. And I said, how do I capitalize on this? I need to talk to them in their language. So that's when we created these other audio tracks that we were able to bundle with the video track. So I then had to set up banking and fulfillment and inventory and credit card processing and customer service in 16 countries pretty much overnight. So I would charter a plane, hit 3 countries a day, do that for 2-3 weeks, just keep going around because each time we would meet with phone centers, with fulfillment centers, with bankers. And I mean, was I neglecting my wife at home? Yes. And there was other issues there, but I ended up in a divorce. The long answer to your question was being an entrepreneur, can it affect other parts of your personal life? Absolutely. And I would say this, today I've figured out how you can manage a work-life balance, and that is important. Of course, I don't work the same hours that I used to, but even so, it's still important to keep that work-life balance because you can burn yourself out and or just, it's you got to enjoy your life, and I think that's important. And so I have, like this week, I'm working less because I'll be on the golf course 4 days this week. And those days are very little business outside of golf because golf is could be a long experience with lunch and this and that and whatever. So I'm enjoying myself. I call myself semi-retired. That doesn't mean I don't work a 40 or 50-hour week here and there. You know what I'm saying?
So it's interesting because Jerry Springer said to me before his passing, he said, when you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
Like, do you really consider what you do now to be working?
No, just today and yesterday, the last 2 days, we do this program called Spend a Day with the Shark. And we had about 15 business owners. They have to qualify. We had a couple hundred applications for this. It's like an incubator. And so they come in, they spend a day with me and 7 of my team members. And we have a lawyer, and we have digital marketing experts, and all the different aspects, the operational side, the sales side, and we do a full day yesterday, and we just finished today, 2 o'clock, of immersion, of growth strategies, hacking, and things like this. So, and now we decide, hey, some of these companies we'd like to take some equity in. So maybe we'd like to have an equity stake. Maybe we'll invest money, et cetera, et cetera. So that for me, that's not work. That's that's what I love doing, meeting with entrepreneurs that want me to have equity in their company, right? I mean, that's what Shark Tank was like. I mean, Shark Tank wasn't really work. There was only one side of it that got a little difficult, and that is once you do the deal, that's the easy part. Saying, I'll invest in your company. The tough part then was all the due diligence, the contracts, then you got to go meet the folks, you got to go see their operation. If I'm going to invest in their business, I'd like to see their office, right? The dozen plus deals that I did that required traveling and this and that kept me very busy, and a lot of those didn't work out. And so the question is, how much of your time do you want to spend on things that have very little upside, right? If it's a nonprofit situation and I'm doing good for on Monday, I said I'm going to be 4 days on the golf course. Monday, I was at the Marine Corps fundraising golf tournament at Carrollwood Country Club here in Tampa, Florida. And it was an awesome day hanging out. I mean, get this. They paired me with the gentleman, Derek Anderson, who was the head guy from the Air Force that went into Thailand and rescued those 13 kids out of the cave. And it was the guy that orchestrated that entire rescue mission over 17 days and saved those 17 lives. And that was the guy that I played golf with yesterday. So golf can be a lot of fun and make some great contacts also. It sounds like play, and people say, oh, you're golfing again. Trust me, I get strategic foursomes that I like to get together with, and we've got a great group tomorrow, for example, and then another one on Friday. So I don't know if you play golf or not, but if you do, I'd love to get out and play with you.
I will go with you and you'll teach me. Golf is really hard, Kevin. Like
It
it
is,
takes
and I
it's
didn't say
hitting this
it.
little ball is not as easy as it looks. Another thing I wanted to know, because doing research before people come on the show, I try not to do it, but I couldn't find any self-sabotaging behaviors about you, or at least online, how expressive. So how do you find a way to still free your voice to share what you think without it backfiring? Because you don't have a lot of trolls. Like, I don't know, what's the art? How do you do that?
First of all, I don't like to hype. Um, and on the internet, you see a lot of things that just are stretched a little, don't sound right, whatever. We have a certain expertise. It is what it is. Like this thing that we just did the last couple of days. It's like, come on in, let's hang out, let's see it. It's just open the kimono kind of thing, right? Like not everybody will do that, but if I'm willing to do it inside is willing to share, because we can give. I came up with names that people are trademarking right now, and God bless them. We may have no relationship going forward at all. It's a giving kind of a thing, and I've had some great mentors, and I'll say this: Zig Ziglar was one of the greatest human beings that ever existed, and his son Tom is an awesome guy. Zig passed away about 10 years ago, but he was a mentor to me, and his most powerful belief is that you can have everything you want in life. It's very simple. You just help enough other people get what they want, and you'll get what you want. And so, that's one of the ways that I've lived my life. Is I like helping entrepreneurs. I'm one of the founders of EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, 1987. We started that. Michael Dell was involved. Ted Leonsis was one of the founders. Ted owns the Washington Capitals and the Wizards and was number 2 guy at AOL. EO is in 155 cities, 45 countries around the world with 25,000 plus members. And it is an awesome organization that nurtures and helps entrepreneurs get off the ground, and there's all kinds of technologies there. So if you serve in your industry and you help and you give back, those are important things to me. And I think that when it's all said and done, when people see that kind of things, I started my first nonprofit in 1982, and we raised over $1 million for Children's Hospital cancer research in Cincinnati, Ohio, for Children's Hospital, and it was an awesome nonprofit group. It was called the Fundraisers, Fun Raisers, with no D. It was a kind of thing, and here, and this is now well, 40 some years ago, I guess. And I've got a foundation that's coming together now, and we're having all kinds of missions and getting involved with a lot of charitable things. So I'm in like kind of like the phase of my life that I like to pick and choose where I spend my time and what I do. But I also I got a 35-year-old son that is loving the business that we're in, and I'm helping support him to help him grow into this industry. He's been doing it now 14 years. My son out of Philadelphia, Brian, he's got a good head on his shoulders.
It's amazing. I mean, as much energy as you have and how you're still so eager to help entrepreneurs. You're 67 years young. You don't look a day over 40. I don't know what your secret is. Um,
Okay.
but is it just a purpose-driven life? Is that would you say, like, if you had to sum up, what's it been for you? Is it about that, finding this purpose-driven life?
I think that's a good way to say it. I think that was there a book written that was called something like that? I believe A Purpose Driven Life, right? I mean, it's it didn't hit me in the earlier days, but I think I don't know if it's just as you move along. I mean, yeah, I've had way more failures than successes, and that makes you very humble. And I say, I'm going to be nice all the way up. They say, oh, in case you got to see people back on the way down again. But yeah, I've been up and I've been down. The upside is always a lot better. People say, what is your most powerful deal or product or whatever that you were ever involved with? And I'll say that Tony Little was an awesome guy. We did over $1 billion in sales with Tony Little fitness products, the Gazelle, the ponytail, Tony Little. But 10 years ago, I got a phone call to sit on a board and get involved with this company called Celsius. And with
I
this
love those drinks, by the way.
Okay, so this product was a startup, one of a small group, five of us that formed this really tight board to take this company to the next level. Well, we had a public company that was 10 cents a share. The company had millions of dollars in value, but not tens of millions, millions of dollars. And fast forward from 10 cents, the stock's at an equivalent of about almost $300. Okay, it's a $20 billion company now, market value on Nasdaq. So Pepsi invested 500 million for a very teeny, less than 10% of the company, and so I'm excited to say that this is a product that I spent 10 years helping build, and an awesome group of people involved with the success of Celsius. So that's one of my favorites, and I have one a day, not two, because it's pretty
That's
strong.
an
Okay.
incredible success story. Celsius is part of my workout. So,
Oh wow.
yes, I love Celsius. You have to make sure you guys send me a big old crate in the future. Kevin, you are the man. Thank you so much for sharing your story and freeing your voice.
You bet. It's been great being here. You're awesome.